Hi everybody, welcome back, and today is something a little bit different, but something I hope to be doing a lot more of in the future, and that's using this. This will be completed over time, and hopefully you can join me on that journey. But today, the Weber Touch Premium is going to be used as a rotisserie, and I'm going to cook my Sunday lunch. But before we can go ahead and do that, this needs to become a rotisserie. Voila! This has now been adapted to contain this bad boy. Now with the extra addition here, I now have obviously the two prongs here where the chicken will be attached to that, and then here, this is all powered on, so if we turn it on, you'll see in all its glory as it goes round. Now there'll be coals here, whilst the chicken goes around the middle, and then there's something a little extra in here. There's going to be a tray to catch the juices so as not to make a mess, but I'm also going to attempt to throw some potatoes in there and see if we can roast them at the same time as this cooks. Exciting times ahead. So I'm going to kind of talk you through this as I go, just so you kind of get a feel for how I've learned. First thing you need is some coal, and the second thing which is beneficial is one of these, which is a fire starter. So you load your coal in here and you light it from underneath, and it creates a chimney with the wind coming through and the air coming through the holes to get that fire going faster. So then when you put it in here, it's already going and you can top it up, rather than perhaps how you barbecued in the past where you kind of chuck the coals in, light it and hope for the best. A couple of these make it easier to get the fire started. Technically you don't need two, but we want fire. Right up, plenty of coals. Here comes the fun part. One of these under there. Right, so I'm going to light this up. Get down here, like this, with the fire. Right, it's going to burn, as you can see. You pop it in here. Wear gloves, don't do what I did. I'm going to leave that for a bit, let the air kind of ventilate through. You can already see it smoking up, and basically we're going to create some white hot coals. So as you can see, we've got a bit of white on the top there, which means they are burning through nicely. Super red hot underneath, so got my protective gloves. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this and carefully pour them into... Okay, so the last thing I'm going to do, heat-proof gloves still on, is these pieces of wood are apple wood. Just going to pop them on there, one on there. Mind your fingers, of course, very hot. Put one over there, and then I'm going to pop this lid back on. Lid is back on just so we can bring it up to temp, and also to get the wood ignited to get that bit of the smoke off. Then the rotisserie is going to go on. I've got a temperature gauge on here, but the vent is now on fully open on both sides. So this is going to get super hot. Once this gets up to sort of 350-ish Fahrenheit, maybe a little bit over, I'm just going to come back and check it to make sure it looks like everything's going okay, and then the chicken's going on. Here we are, one chicken ready to go on the skewer. A little bit of butter, just to kind of keep it moist. Salt and pepper, bit of garlic oil as the binder. The binder basically is the bit that allows everything to stick. Normally you would use butcher's string and kind of tie these bits up. I didn't have any, so I've gone with a soaked cocktail stick. Just in there, now the other side. Just give it a little bit of a hook. There we go. To hold it all together. Now, let's pop it on the rotisserie. Let it roll. Okay, let's get this off. Let's get the chicken on. Don't forget your drip tray. In comes the chicken. Hole into the rotisserie. Chicken is on. Let's turn the rotisserie on. Let's just check how that looks. What's going round. It looks okay so far. Looks good. So obviously now part of the cooking is the weight. Things are underway, so we'll leave that for a little while. Hopefully things will tick over nicely. Just keep an eye on the temperature. Potatoes will go on around about an hour or so before the chicken is due to be finished, so that's why I'll need to keep an eye to it just to kind of see that things are progressing as they should be. But all in all, if everything comes together nicely, we shall be having a rotisserie chicken and roasted potatoes from the Weber Kettle in time for dinner. Okay, time for an update. Good news and bad news. Bad news is that this temperature has been way too high. I've got a temperature probe down here, but thinking back now using logic, it was underneath the heat. Obviously the heat's at the top, that's where this thermometer is, and that's where the chicken is on this occasion, which isn't the case normally when you're doing slow cooking. So I've closed all the vents down apart from this top one, a tiny bit, to drop the temperature down, and it is dropping. I'm going to show you the chicken now, but I'm going to take the opportunity to put the potatoes in. So as you can see, this is quite brown. It's probably a little bit darker than it should be at this stage, and I did chuck some coals on thinking that the heat was going down, and then obviously I figured out what I mentioned to you just now. So I've closed down the vents, obviously the lid's now open, which means some heat's getting out. But I am going to take the opportunity to chuck in some potatoes. Okay, lid back on. This is the first time I've ever done this, and I have largely been doing it a little bit by eye and some things that I've learned online. So hopefully what I can do here, if you're looking at this thinking I'm going to try this soon, is to let you know what I did wrong so you can then not go and do the same. And I will try it again in the future, and hopefully we can get this right. So first and foremost, the temperature gauge is really important. I had a temperature gauge sat in the bottom grill where the charcoal normally sits. Now that would normally be in the right area when you're cooking something low and slow, for example, because that's where the meat is, a little bit above that. But in this instance, obviously the rotisserie is higher. In fact, it's sort of a good 2 to 3 inches higher than the normal top of the barbecue, which in itself is a good couple of inches higher than the meat. So in this instance, the temperature read at the top is vastly different to the temperature read at the bottom. We've corrected that now because we've closed down some of the vents and we're dropping the temperature, taking the lid off for quite a while and putting it back on again. We'll hope that too. I don't know how it's going to go with the fact that I threw a few extra coals on. We'll keep an eye on that. But they can all be fixed. So these things are, as I found out in my early barbecue career, they happen. They're fixable. The chicken probably needs about another hour and 20 or so, I guess, based on approximate cooking times. That's going to differ now. The outside's obviously a little bit darker than perhaps it would be at this stage. Dropped that temperature down a little bit, thrown in some potatoes. Let's see if we can learn from our mistakes. Okay, I think we're about the time now where we're going to check to see how done the chicken is to try and understand better how long's left. For that, we need one of these. This is a thermopen. It's an instant temperature reader. We're looking for north of 160 Fahrenheit, whatever that is in Celsius, to see if it's done or close to being done. If it is done or close to being done, I'm then going to make plans to take it off, let it rest for a bit, and then crank the heat up to see if I can get those potatoes crispy on the barbecue rather than having to cheat and move to the oven. So first things first, look at that. It looks immense. I'm going to take the thermopen. I'm going to try first. This is the leg, so we're going to in the leg. It's showing 190, so if that is the case, that is very much done. In fact, if anything, possibly overdone. Let's just try this back part. Also 190. You live and you learn. Moment of truth. Instant reaction. It's very nice. It's definitely not undercooked. It's possibly a tad overcooked. I took it from the leg. When I was testing the temperatures, it was suggesting it might have been a little bit past where it needed to be, but it tasted fine. The skin wasn't particularly crispy, but it does taste really nice. But because it's not crispy, I don't have to worry about sacrificing that. So I might wrap it now, let it rest, and then hopefully any juices in there kind of get sucked back in again. So if it is a tad dry, that'll be fine. But overall, very impressed. Obviously, I've got to carve it up and have it properly with dinner before we can pass a real verdict. But first effort so far, thumbs up. Okay, the big reveal, potatoes should be done. Wow, yeah! Fantastic. Guess it's time to start working on getting this eaten. So there we go, that's a wrap. The first rotisserie chicken done. I really enjoyed the experience. There's definitely some things I'm going to need to change next time around. Roast potatoes probably won't be done in there, not until I get a better grasp of how to keep the temperature kind of regular, depending on what I've got in there. But the chicken is definitely something I can improve on, and I did really enjoy it. Main point of these videos is I'm learning, and there's going to be things I do wrong, there's going to be things I do right, and hopefully if you haven't done this before, then you can obviously learn a little bit from me. And if you have done them before, then feel free to drop notes in the comments and tell me where I've gone wrong, but more specifically how I make it better next time, because that's how we all kind of improve. But thanks very much for watching. If you did enjoy it, and I really hope that you did, then please subscribe, give us a thumbs up. I will be back in the future with more videos like this and the usual videos with regards to the channel in general, and I hope to see you all again very soon.